Okay, are you ready for the cheater technique? Hi everybody, welcome to part 2 of our Crackle series. I'm glad that you joined us today. This is Studio R12 Stencils and I'm Patricia Rollinson. You can call me Patty. We are going to learn how to distress our background today, so let's get at it. Going to use a 60 grit. We've got our Crackle all the way on there, and if you stick around to the end of this section, I'm going to show you how you can cheat on the Crackle part and do a kind of a cute little hack. So here we go. So we're going to take our 60 grit and we're going to dig in. So this is going to look like I'm doing cardio or something, okay? So I want to dig through and just give it some gnarly distressment. If you start seeing bored on your art, then that's fine. You can even out any marks from your brushes. And I'm going to show you how to take care of that too, without sanding. And this is a sanding block, and it is an absolute gold treasure because it helps give weight, helps your hand from not being super tired and stuff like that. So, and you can apply different pressure to the different points of it, and that's kind of a neat way to differentiate how much digging you're doing through your project. Okay, so we're gonna go with our chicken wire stencil. And this is just an amazing stencil. It will do a repeating pattern if you want it to. And we're gonna use a grayish color. I'm gonna mix a little bit of blue. Let's get that on camera. So I've got just a medium-ish gray. This is acrylic paint and this is a honey bottle, and there'll be a link to that. I'm gonna add just a little bit of this kind of, I don't know, not quite Cape Cod, not quite blue, just kind of a weird little blue actually, almost a grayish blue. So I've got like 2 chocolate chip sizes of, well, not chocolate chip, but dime sizes of the gray and 1 of the blue. And that's just going to make that gray a little lighter, a little bluer, a little happier. Okay, wipe off my palette knife. I'm using an offset palette knife so my fingers don't run through the paint. And now what we're gonna do with our chicken wire stencil is we're gonna go around the edges of our project. And you can see a lot of weirdness going on here. Let me show you a thing. When you sand, you're gonna make a lot of scratches, okay? Like you have dry skin on your arm and something like that without lotion on, and then it'll make scratches that will go away if you apply water. This will all disappear if I wipe it away with water. So if it distracts you, that's a good step to do, just to see like what you've achieved and what the look is. Okay, so now you can see all of my dust from the paint. All right, we'll go around the edges. Just gonna really lay this kind of randomly. We probably don't wanna go diagonally, but we wanna just kind of lay it on there. I'm gonna use my dry brush, my dome brush. I'm going to dry off on my paper towel and just swirl around my edges. I want to peek to make sure that it's showing up, and it is. How far in did I go? Sometimes when you've already painted something, it's nice to have this like little map over here. Okay, so then I'll pick that up, lay that down, not worrying about matching that up. You'll see why in a minute. And I can bring it in just a little bit here and there so I can travel in if I feel like I want it to. Now, if you're not good with a liner brush or a round brush, let me show you the second step of this. Oop. If I can get the paint bottle open. When you get paint dried around the top, that's usually when your paint lids will stick. So if I want to bring a little bit of teal into my chicken wire, let's see where I've got a good example. It's got just a hint of it up here. I've really done some distressing and stuff like that with the teal color, but I can do a little bit on my chicken wire, and what I will do is before I move my chicken wire stencil, how far around did I go? Before I move it, so I'll go over here in the corner. Whoops, it shifted on me. If you're worried about it shifting, you want to make sure that you go ahead and tape your stencil down. So I'm going to pick up with my dirty brush just a little bit of that teal, and I can go in here and just give it a little kiss of teal, and you can see that that brightened it up just a little bit. You can do the same thing with a round brush. You can take it, dip it into your paint, and you can just touch a couple of spots if you want to do that. So there's 2 ways to do that. So we'll continue. Notice I'm not keeping a straight line. I'm kind of wavering in and out. I can go back when I get done, and I can say, I want that in a little bit more, and I can just add. Let me show you how that would look over here. Like pretend like right in this area here, I want to add just a little bit more. I can get technical and I can try and line that up. I've tried to do that before. It's messy. So I'll just skip over just a little bit and then give it a little tickle and allow it to fade into the area that it's already at. And that actually looks like I lined that up perfectly. So you never have to worry about lining it up. Just don't put it too close together. We're gonna go ahead and we're gonna antique our edges. So to antique the edges, we're gonna use you can do it a couple ways. You can use a paper towel. This is a very technical technique. I'm gonna dry it off on my hand, and I'm gonna pick up some black paint. I'm gonna wipe it on my palette just to kind of get it softened. And then I'm gonna go over here in my corner and I'll just wipe it onto my corner. And then this part of my brush, paper towel brush, is softening as I'm painting. So we can also take a foam brush and we can kind of do the same thing. Okay, so I'll wipe out some of the water. Sponges are super thirsty, so they will hold on to a lot. I can kind of corner load my brush, and I can go over here and wipe that on, and see how wet that is. I didn't wipe out enough. Okay, then you can also take a dome brush in your paint, dry it off, and you can also just dry rub. Each of these is going to have a slightly different characteristic. So there's 3 ways that you can antique. And then I want to go ahead, you can do it while you're wet, you can do it while you're dry. I want to sand to just kind of distribute things. Going to sand to even things out. I'll wipe that back again. And actually what I'm really loving is that wet crackle, or the wet distressing in the corners, has really sunk into my edges right there. I really like that. Okay, I've got to get this little corner down here. I forgot him. And then as you're drying, you can decide if you need a little bit more, and you can reapply. You can also do some more at the end, so you don't have to get there, you don't have to arrive all at one time. So I'll just go around and just deepen everything. And I'm using this instead of the other 2 techniques just because I have it in my hand. It's not really a preference thing. And notice I'm rounding those corners, and now I'll just go straight up and down just to kind of diffuse and distribute. And I might even go in with a little bit of a dry brush, which means I'm just dragging my brush down along. What I love about Crackle is you can really build up a kind of a deep background experience. So we've got our cracks, well, we've got our black in the very back, we've got our cracks on top, then we've got our chicken wire framing, and then we do a little bit of the antique edging, and now we're doing a little bit of dry brushing, and then we're going to pick up with the same dry brush a little bit of our teal, and we're going to just flick dry brush to give it a hint. If you don't like something, we can sand back over it. This can be scary, so using an Amazon box or a box that you have laying around as just like a test board is a really good idea. And then you can also make sure that you flip your board upside down, because it's easier to flick towards you than to flick away from you. You get lots more control. Okay, are you ready for the cheater technique? That is our background. Wasn't that fast and fun? Okay, cheater technique. We have, for your crackling pleasure, we have made all of these sizes of Crackle stencils. And they get bigger and bigger and bigger depending on the size of your project. And you can choose the size crack that you want. So I was playing around. If I think I'm missing some Crackle, like I got really heavy Crackle here, but maybe lighter here, and I want to even that out, I can go with my Crackle pattern stencil, and I can just add some cracks where I feel I was missing them. Okay, and so now I have more cracks over here, and isn't that a great way to just even the thing out? I still love the look of the texture. I feel like there's a depth to it, but this is such a great way to experience awesome cracks without having to do so much work. All right, guys, thanks for joining us for part 2 of our Crackle series. Make sure that you subscribe and ring the bell so that you get notified when part 3 is up, which will be very soon.